Hello, welcome to Talent Matters, the recruitment podcast to end all podcasts, or so I say. Hopefully some of you will agree with me. You're here, so you're expecting some good recruiting knowledge, and that's exactly what you're going to get today. Thank you very much for joining. Today we are going to talk about tech stacks, recruitment tech stacks, what you should have, what you shouldn't have, kind of where to start, what to think about. And there's so much recruitment technology that's out there now. Sometimes it's easy to be a bit like a kid in a sweet shop sometimes. And other times you don't really know what you need and what you don't need. So thanks for joining. The person I'm going to be talking to today, I'm not sure I can find anyone better qualified. Wave's newest employee, or one of our newest employees, Richard Harris. Rich, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
You're very, very welcome. Do you want to just kind of, I can't intro anybody on these podcasts, get it wrong all the time. Much better coming from the horse's mouth. You're not a horse, but why don't you tell us who you are, where you've been, what you've done, as succinctly as you can.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in recruitment now, been 19 years this year. I started off in a recruitment firm, IT recruitment. When recession hit in 2008, I kind of jumped between a couple of different recruitment jobs, but I'd kind of lost the buzz for the day-to-day. So I took a bit of time off. I then found a job at multi-place called Broadbean Technology, and I started my journey there back in 2011. Moved around inside the business into a few different roles, and then made my way over to Cube 19, where I've spent probably the last sort of 6.5 years with Cube, again in a variety of different roles. Most recently I worked there as the operations manager, helping them just get all their processes and workflows down. And then we were acquired by Bullhorn, so that happened in November of 21. I then worked under Bullhorn, so we was rebranded to Bullhorn Analytics, and I worked with the team there for about another year, and left Bullhorn November last year, and I now find myself at the lovely Wave.
Yes, yeah, welcome to Wave. Now this is being recorded, it's going out to trillions of people, I'm sure, so think carefully, but how's it been so far at Wave?
No, it's good. It's one thing, obviously I've known of Wave for a very long time. Obviously back when I started my career in recruitment tech is when I first heard of Dave from Wave. So I've known about the business for a while, and I think one of the exciting things for me is it's not just a recruitment technology; it's a solution. I think that's the thing that kind of made it easy for me to make a decision about where to go next. Working for that one solution, you can post your jobs, you can buy your media, you've got your own websites. There's so many different things that the company offers. So I'm just excited to be a part of, that Wave journey and, see what else we can do to make Wave even bigger and better.
Brilliant. Well, we're glad to have you. We are glad to have you. From my side and from our side, everything is going great. So we're very, very pleased to have you on board with us. So let's get stuck in then to tech stacks. It's a relatively, ironically, new term, I think, certainly to me. But of course, recruitment technology has come on, leaps and bounds over the last 10, 15 years, from having a CRM and that's it. Of course, you mentioned about Broadbean and posting tools, you would have that perhaps, but in the last 5-10 years, there's now recruitment technology to do pretty much everything within the recruitment world. So you've seen a little bit of it from different angles. Where do we start? I mean, if you're a recruitment company, where do you start? How would you start looking at what you need and what you don't?
The core thing for any recruitment business is of course the CRM or the ATS that they're using. That's kind of the backbone of your tech stack. If you think whenever a recruiter comes in the morning, the first thing they do is they open their CRM. So that's the kind of first place that you've got to be looking. and it's an interesting one because there's a lot of different, recruitment CRM ATS providers out there. But what I think a lot of people need to do is really think about, what are the actual needs of your business as to which CRM you need to go for. You might need custom workflows because of the market you recruit in. You might want to see if the CRM has the ability to add and track leads, a website integration, client portals, whatever the need is for your business. You've really got to do your due diligence on it because it's a long-term investment. That CRM, changing CRM is probably one of the hardest things that a lot of recruitment companies have to do, especially if they've been using the same CRM for sort of 4, 5, 6 years. They've got all their candidates in there, their clients, their jobs. Migrating information between CRMs isn't always the easiest, and obviously starting fresh is never the best thing for a recruitment business if they've got all that talent hidden away in another CRM somewhere. So it's kind of the central point of your tech stack is your CRM. So that's kind of where you've always got to start.
Start there and work out.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the time, or in way back when, there was a lot of CRMs that were custom built for businesses, and you don't tend to see that so much now. But do you think that's still an option for people to have someone build a CRM for you?
I mean, there's pros and cons to it. When I started my journey in recruitment, my old CEO, he was actually a AS400 programmer, and he built our own recruitment system. So we had our own database. It was like working off of teletext. It was all on the F keys. So and it worked fine for us. We were still a first tier supplier to a lot of the big kind of investment banks and energy companies. And I think it all depends on what your business needs. There is obviously a clear opportunity for people to build their own systems, but when you're looking at scaling your business, you've got to work out if that system is scalable. How much infrastructure do you need behind it? I think the benefit of going to like your Bullhorns, Mercuries, Vinceris, etc. I think the bonus of going for them is that infrastructure is already there. So when it comes to scaling your business, you've already got that in place. And like I said, the CRM is a long-term investment. There's companies who have been using their CRM provider for 6, 7, 8 plus years. To then take all of that information, all the workflows you've got to try and move it to somewhere else, it's a lot of work. So yes, you could build your own database. There is the option there. But I feel like if you're looking for a business that's going to scale, to have that infrastructure in place, I'd probably look at kind of one of the more main CRM providers.
I think it's a similar story with websites. I think, it's not to be underestimated the amount of investment that's required in the future as well. And because there's always that temptation, if you're looking at building a website or building a CRM or building whatever, where there is already an established provider, but it's a SaaS product, you got to pay monthly or however it's paid. I think it's easy to just, a bit like you said with your old boss in terms of building your own, I'll just build my own. But actually the time and effort that's needed at that particular moment, and then for years thereafter, that's not to be underestimated. But of course, a mainstream provider, they will constantly update it almost for you. So yeah. I think
we had a very similar, it's the same thing we had at Cube. We used to have people say, oh, we're going to go off and build our own analytics suite. It's like, that's fine. But, you think of the amount of time you've actually got to put into that. People used to talk about Power BI a lot. Power BI is just a shell. You've still got to build everything inside it. You've still got to maintain everything inside it. So, if you think about your actual recruitment database, your workflows, everything that you want and everything that you use on a daily basis, to kind of have to have someone fully employed really to keep managing that or have that outsourced somewhere else, you might as well just be using an actual provider.
And it does detract you from the main part of what you're supposed to be doing, which is recruitment. And you quickly become a software company. I mean, and the time that it takes as well. I remember when we first started building Wave Tracker, I sort of say this quite a lot, but I used to think, I thought that it would be up and running within 6 months. Why would it be that difficult? We just want to post out jobs to these different sites. shouldn't be that difficult, but it doesn't take 6 months. It takes years, really, because you constantly want to improve it, and it's that investment that's needed. So, yeah, you have to look at it, like you said, you have to analyze what's right for your business and kind of then look at the providers that are there. One of the things that we get, that people talk to us a lot about, integrations. And I've seen the full kind of cycle, if you like, of people wanting to keep everything separate. And then people went through a stage where they want everything on the same window, same tab. And now it's sort of gone back a little bit the other way, where we start to see people that like to have proper, almost air gaps, if that's what this called, between the software. So where do you sit on kind of integrations and having everything integrated? Good thing, bad thing, indifferent, helpful?
I mean, I'll say indifferent, but my personal choice is to have everything integrated. When you work with an integrated solution, you don't have to worry about having multiple tabs open. You don't have to worry about having to log into multiple places. Having that one, I'll use the terminology, single source of truth. That's what it is. You want something where you can go to one place and everything that you need is there. It saves you a lot more time. It streamlines your process. And someone like myself who's very process driven, I'm always looking at how I can streamline the next process. What's the easiest way of getting this job done to this job? And if you think about it from a recruiter perspective, what they want to be able to do is they want to be able to attract new candidates. They want to bring them on board easily. They want to put them into jobs. They want to get on to the next one. Okay. So when you're looking at, the tech stacks that you want to bring into the business, what you want is a fully integrated solution that can do these things. You don't want to have to go off to this, log into this site to do one thing, but then there's no connection to this thing over here. And what it gives you is it gives you a lot of siloed information. And obviously the problem with that is that when it comes to reporting on that and actually analyzing your tech stack, there's no context behind anything you're looking at. You're looking at all these different bits of side information and you don't know where they tie in, how they work together properly. So for me, having that integrated solution allows all of them different data sets to be tied together to make it really easy for you to actually analyze, okay, right, if I'm using this tech stack or if I'm using this piece of technology, am I getting the ROI that I want from it? Is it doing the purpose? Are people engaging with it properly? That's one of the biggest problems I think a lot of technology providers will have is user adoption. One of my roles at Cube was head of user adoption for about 3 years, where I was actually trying to understand why do people not fully engage? Why do some people engage and some people don't? And again, it's really hard to view that context if it's not an integrated solution. So my personal preference, definitely anything you can do where you can find an integrated all-in-one place solution is better than having lots of different other bits and pieces everywhere.
I suppose it's, you've got to come back to actually what's going to make the business operate, as in the client, the recruitment agency, what's going to make them operate as efficiently as they can, and how can we, speed up, certain processes in terms of the time it takes to screen a candidate, talk to a candidate, set up interviews, that sort of thing. That's, I suppose, where we're looking at. And I think with the single source of truth statement, I think that's really important, especially from an ROI perspective when we start looking at job boards. The number of clients I've spoken to where you're trying to understand what the ROI has been, and the client pulls off 3 or 4 different reports from different systems, and they're all completely conflicting. So it becomes really difficult to be able to actually look at that and understand what's the ROI that I'm getting, as something which should be really simple to understand that you've invested X into a job board and it's generating Y. And I think sometimes there's just it ends up being a little bit of a finger in the air because you've got 3 systems with, as you said, that siloed information. So it's an interesting one. So we're going to put a tick in the box for integrations. That's cool. So how do you then, so we've got the CRM, But what else do you think a modern day recruiter should be looking at from a tech stack point of view? You don't have to name names and brands and whatever. I mean, you can if you want. We'll tap them up for some sponsorship if we do. But you know, it started with a CRM. We know there's a lot of stuff out there. What would you say is on the must-have list, and maybe what's on the nice-to-have list? That's pretty on the spot, isn't it?
No, but again, it kind of comes back to something I was saying earlier about the CRM. It's about identifying, what's the needs and the challenges that your business has right now. It's about what's the problem that you're trying to solve. If you're thinking about the recruitment funnel, you've got to attract candidates, you've got to engage with them, you've got to get them to interview, place them. Once they're placed, you've got to make sure you're nurturing that kind of relationship still, because you want retention. You want to be able to redeploy as many candidates as possible, because it's the quickest way to make money, obviously, if you're recruiting. So I think that the main thing is just identifying what is the challenge that you're trying to solve and what technology helps with that. If it's something like brand awareness, if you're a new company starting out and you want to make sure that people know who you are, well, there's different things that you can do. Obviously, company website. If you're a recruitment agency, you're just starting up, you need to have an engaging website. People, whatever looks visually appealing, something that has a good UX behind it. It could be your social posting, it could be sponsored jobs. It all depends on what challenge you are facing. It could be engaging with your candidates. We live in a very different world now post-COVID to what we did beforehand. And, video interviewing, people will say, oh, it's just a phase, the world will open up, everything go back to normal. Well, actually, we've seen that this is the new normal. And, things like remote interviewing, things like, it saves recruiters a lot of time. Yes, there is an argument against, actually being in front of someone makes a difference. But, you think about my journey at Wave, we spoke on the phone, and that was it. We interviewed like this, how we are now. So, and especially with, being able to hire, if you do have a remote workforce, that allows you to hire the best people in the world, as opposed to if you've got an office only policy where you can only really bring in people who are close to where you are and if they can travel. So you're a bit of a disadvantage. So again, if I know what it is that is the problem that I'm trying to fix, that's how I then choose the type of technology that I need to bring into the business. And again, it's not about hearing buzzwords, and you've really got to look at tech. There's a lot of people out there who do things that are similar but not the same. And that's a very key difference, is that you might hear of, for example, a multi-poster. Well, all I need it to do is post jobs to my website. Well, no, because there's a lot of things that posters might be able to do. So it's about looking into the differences and where you make that right choice.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way to look at it. Think of the actual recruitment funnel, think of each stage, and think about where the problem and where the challenge is, and that's going to help you identify what tech stack is going to help you improve that specific part of the business.
I think that's really important, because it's really easy to get sort of dazzled by the bright lights of a new piece of tech or a new kind of shiny thing that does whatever it is. I've kind of talked about it before on previous podcasts, but it's like the kid in the sweet shop. So kind of what you're saying is, really you should make a shopping list before you go into that shop and start buying all the stuff. I never do that. I always walk in and go, well, I'll have that, and kind of take the lot. But actually, from a business perspective, you could have every single piece of tech that's out there, and it doesn't solve a single problem that you've actually got. But you've got this massive overhead now, where you've committed to all this stuff, but actually you haven't placed anyone through any of it. So I think knowing the problem or identifying what you want to achieve before going to market is sound advice.
Yeah, I think the other thing to I've used this analogy before, but I always think of your tech stack. It's almost like a gym membership. Not that I ever use mine, but if you think of a gym membership, your CRM is your gym membership. And then when you actually go into the gym, if I was to work on arms, it's about knowing which machines to use that are going to help my arms to grow. But if I'm doing legs, it's the same kind of concepts. You've got to make sure that you're using things that tie together to give you that desired outcome. If my desired outcome is to gain loads of muscle, I need to make sure I'm using the right machines and doing the right things to obtain that goal. It's not dissimilar in this instance. I want to be able to use the right technologies at the right time to get me to where I need to be, whether that's attracting top talent or getting candidates faster or getting jobs out or building our brand awareness. It's all about knowing which things to use at the right time.
Do you think, this is a bit of a random question, but with the amount of tech that's available, can you see a new role emerging within a recruitment business that actually looks after the tech? And I'm saying that when I'm talking about your sort of SME business, not your huge agencies that would have, an entire kind of tech department or IT department designed to look after this. But do you think that we're going to see more tech people within SME agencies to handle all of this stuff and to help business owners actually determine what they do and don't need?
Yeah, it's completely. I think it exists already. I would say that there's, you've got business system managers who work in some of these recruitment firms. Some people work in ops roles. Different people in charge of different things. So I definitely feel like some of the bigger agencies, some larger agencies out there who are using 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of recruitment tech. You need to have someone there who manages that process. You need to have someone who's actually looking at how all them technologies tie together. And again, looking at your recruitment funnel and making sure you're getting the desired outcome from each of your different bits of recruitment tech. So I definitely see that as a thing. I've spoken to a few people who are in them types of roles already. So it's definitely there.
It's already there. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's that kind of digital transformation journey that a lot of these recruitment companies are on now. They're trying to, everything's in the cloud now. There's single sign-ons, whatever else there is out there. I definitely think that's something that people will take more notice of, especially as the recruitment tech industry grows.
Yeah, it's already happening, isn't it? That makes sense. So, what about the future then? We can't do a tech stack podcast without mentioning AI. Is that? It seems it's here. We've got it in Wave Tracker with our AI assistant. So, we've got it. A lot of other recruitment technology companies will be thinking about it, even if they've got it already. That's the future, is it? Anything else we should be looking out for? What's happening next?
Well, because obviously I've heard AI bounce around for a long time, and I think go back sort of 5-6 years ago, people were talking about AI and recruitment, but people didn't really fully understand the power of AI and recruitment. I think nowadays you've got companies out there who, if you look at Page as an example, they are like an AI marketing assistant for recruiters. They're getting their content published. They've got better use of LinkedIn. They're helping people out. I think that AI and automation are clearly the buzzwords in the industry. People are looking at ways to do things quicker, ways to make things easier. Automation. If you're an agency that's using automation correctly, it's amazing. If you're an agency that's using automation but don't really know what to do with it, it's a massive detriment to you right now, because you're spending more time trying to figure out the automation than you are actually using the automation itself. I've heard things, like RPA, robotic process automation. This kind of robot tool that can just take loads of documents and scan things and do jobs that are a lot quicker, that are a lot more laborious. It's all out there. It's interesting to see how people are making use of it. And I think that's kind of where, yes, AI is a big thing. People talk about the chat GPT. I think every time I go on LinkedIn, there's at least one person talking about it. And it's interesting to see how it's going to work in recruitment. And, AI is definitely here to stay. Automation is here to stay. It's just going to be interesting to see what else comes out in the future on how people are going to use them technologies. Whether that is just, staying in touch with your talent, especially in a candidate-driven market like we're in now, it's so important to make sure that you're constantly in touch with your candidates to find out, what they're doing, where they're working. Things like lead generation. Is there something out there that goes through all the CVs and looks at companies and, looks at skills? There's just so many different things that can happen out there in the market.
I think once you start to almost accept that it's here and start to think about the possibilities, it's mind-blowing, really. There's so much that you can do, and you're spot on with going on to LinkedIn. It's there, being talked about all the time. And same with, I think it's how it's going to be used. And I see a lot of comparisons to sort of 25 years ago when the internet first became kind of mainstream, if you like. There was a similar kind of fear, like kind of it fell into two camps. It was kind of like completely embraced it and went with it, and others were very fearful and resistant to change. There seems to be quite a lot of comparisons, similarities to then. But I think learning how we are going to use it is going to be really important. And that will change what we think we know now. It's how it's going to be used will change again in a month's time. So we are certainly very much on board with it. But it's about trying to use it in the best possible way and not replace that human touch, if you like, but to try and enhance it. So be interesting to see.
Yeah, I fully agree, especially in that last point, enhancing, recruitment will always be something that has human interaction. You're never going to completely remove that. It kind of takes away from, the heart of it. If I think back to when I started in recruitment and I'd be talking to candidates day in, day out on the phones, meeting candidates, I'd be doing all of that. And, in the way that COVID kind of changed everything and us not having that social interaction as much, the need for technology, it grew. And now we're kind of in a hybrid world now. Again, it's a hybrid. There will be times where you have to have that personal conversation. You have to be talking to people. You have to be seeing people. But there's certain tasks that technology can do for us now. And it's not, I know that some people say it's making recruiters lazy. I disagree with that. It's making them work smarter. It's making them work more efficiently, and it's giving them more time to do the things that they need to do.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Making recruiters lazy, because typically recruiters are not lazy, because the end result for a recruiter is being paid commission. And so I think it's just giving them a focus on doing what they're good at doing, rather than having to do all the things that maybe they're not so strong with doing. It's where our AI assistant came from, in trying to give recruiters a helping hand in writing adverts. It's one of the things that's been, they've been lambasted for years, poorly written job ads. We've done podcasts and whatever, but some recruiters are just not natural writers. They're natural communicators, but not natural writers. Others the other way around. So you're trying to help them focus on what they're good at and give them a helping hand on the things that maybe they're not so good at. So
yeah, sure. I fully agree. I think when I was in my job search, one of the things that was really clear to me when I was looking at some of the job adverts is that people were just posting job descriptions. And obviously that's, there's a big difference between a job description and a job advert. Your job advert, you're supposed to be selling it to the candidate, why you should look at this job over a competitor's job. So I think something like an AI assistant, like you said, you might have people who are new to recruitment. You might have trainees who are coming into this world and you want them to write job adverts. This just gives them the helping hand. It helps them to kind of understand what a job advert looks like. So, and like I said, you'll get people out there who can write job adverts amazing, really sell it. You got other people who just can't do that yet. So again, it's just helping people.
Yeah. Very, very wise and very true. We could probably talk all day. Kind of flying through this, it's a very, very interesting subject. Technology, what's happening, what's coming next. So we're pretty much at the end, but we'll take it down a notch or two or three, and go to our foodie question. You've already given me the heads up that you're not big into cooking for people, so you're taking people out. You want to show them a good time. Where are you taking them?
Do you know what? It depends on the person, but I'm quite happy. I could go to Nando's. I'm quite happy just go and sit in Nando's and be fine. But you know, I do like the steak. I think my first real experience of proper steak was at Hawksmoor. I was believe it or not, I was actually very fussy with food growing up. And my steaks were always well done. I think that was actually the first time that I got told by Dan and the team, "You're not allowed to have a steak well done here. You eat it as it was cooked." And turns out I'd been wrong all those years, and actually steak tastes a lot better when you let someone who knows how to cook it for you. So yeah, I'm not overly fussy in my food now. But yeah, I'm quite happy to go to like a chicken or a steak restaurant. Not really seafood. I tried lobster for the first time in Boston last year, which was after 37 years on the planet, trying lobster for the first time was quite a big deal for me.
And what was the outcome? I mean, you said you don't like seafood, so I'm not expecting you're going to be.
Yeah, I was still undecided. I ate it, but I'm still undecided. Maybe I'll have to go back.
Not worth the 30 quid or however much they cost. Probably more like 40 these days. But it's the funny thing you say about steak and well done. Having steak well done. I think when you're growing up as a kid, the idea of having, you cut open a steak and you can see like red in the middle and like blood or whatever, you're like, wow, can't do that. So you sort of get told, well, you have to ask for it well done. You have to ask for it well done. And then you get older and then you're being told you can't have it well done. It's a waste of the steak.
Yeah. That's a very similar conversation to what I had with some of the guys from Cube. So
brilliant. Well, that's it. Good. Thank you very much, Richard. That was really, really insightful. Hope everyone listening, watching enjoyed that and found it useful. Do let us know what you think, the good, the bad, and the ugly as ever. And if you like it, then drop us a comment or a share or a like, and pass the message on. But thanks very much, Richard. Did you enjoy that? How was that for you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of recruitment technology, so I like talking about it. So good subject choice.
Got the right subject. Super. Well, thanks very much for coming on. Welcome to Wave.
Thank you.
Very much enjoy having you here. And to everyone watching, please do come back soon for another fantastic episode of Talent Matters. Thanks very much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.